In some absolutely big-time breaking news out of the NFL, the Denver Broncos have fired first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett following a 4-11 start to the year. Nathaniel Hackett did not even make it one full season with the team before they decided to cut the cord. And for anyone who watched their game versus the Rams where they lost 51-14, it was very easy to see what the end result was going to be for Nathaniel Hackett. The bigger surprise, I think, here is that he didn't last throughout the full season because we have 2 games left now, and you're at a point where you're the Broncos. You don't have a first-round pick next year, so it's not like it's going to make a difference as far as standings. You would think that it would be one of those things where they'd at least allow the full team and the head coach to finish out the rest of the year. But apparently, the Broncos thought that the best way to move forward would be just clean cutting the cord and saying, all right, we're done. We are done. Again, Nathaniel Hackett fired after a 4-11 start. This was a team that many, including yours truly, expected to be not only playoff contenders, but Super Bowl contenders. Think about what the Broncos have been through since the 2015 Super Bowl win, since Peyton Manning retired. They haven't had a quarterback. And the one thing everyone always touts about them is the fact that they're a quarterback away. For 7 years, we've been saying this, that they're a quarterback away. And this defense is elite, which, by the way, the Broncos are I think probably one of the first teams in NFL history to do this. I'm pretty sure they're top 3 in points allowed, but I know for a fact that they are the worst team as far as scoring on offense. 15 points per game is what they do. They score 15 points per game, which is by far the lowest. And you want to talk about some of the teams that have a higher, everyone has a higher points per game, but you're looking at the Colts are averaging 17 and a half points per game. You're like this is not one of those things where, this could be a thing where they just didn't score in one game. No, we're 15 games in. And this is a guy who was brought in to be an offensive guru, to reinvent this offense after years of focusing on defense, after the Vic Fangio experiment that failed. John Elway says, let's bring in the Aaron Rodgers whisperer. That's what everyone said, right? As if Aaron Rodgers didn't do everything himself. It was Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams that made that team. It wasn't necessarily Nathaniel Hackett. Yet everyone always wants to give the head coach way more credit than or the offense coordinator, way more credit than they're due. I'm looking at a team that had Super Bowl aspirations, that traded away Noah Fant, that traded away multiple picks in order to acquire a Hall of Fame quarterback in Russell Wilson. And what do they have to show for it? 15 and a half points per game. The Texans score 17 points per game. The Colts score 17 and a half points per game. And those are 2 of the worst offenses in the entire league. How the New York Jets score at 19 points per game. And the biggest thing that Nathaniel Hackett had against him, is there was no excuse. The only minimal thing you can come up with is the Cortland Sutton injury. Outside of that, you had Jerry Jeudy. Outside of that, you had Russell Wilson healthy. This should be a warning, another warning to NFL teams, because apparently they need a warning. We're at the 3rd head coach fired this year, and of those 3, 2 of them, Nathaniel Hackett and not Matt Rule, Nathaniel Hackett and Matt Rule were just failures, abject failures as head coaches. Not counting Frank Reich in that, because Frank Reich I thought was a very good head coach who he played out his course in Indianapolis. I'll say that, but he was a very good head coach at one point. But Nathaniel Hackett and Matt Rule were 2 guys who you could argue now that shouldn't have been hired. Nathaniel Hackett should not have been hired. You have so many other candidates, like the Broncos. If they wanted to go offense, right? Wouldn't you think they would go with the best available guy? Wouldn't you think they would try to go out and get Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City? Wouldn't you think that they would try to go out and get a Mike McDaniel? But no. They took a guy in Nathaniel Hackett. They were very eager to take him, by the way, who had a good season with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, by the way, coming off of back-to-back MVP seasons. And look, there might be something to the fact that Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers as a combo could be a little more dangerous. But if you're telling me that he's the main reason Aaron Rodgers is doing bad, I'm not going to believe it. Because Aaron Rodgers isn't doing bad this year, and the Packers aren't bad this year because they don't have Nathaniel Hackett. They're bad this year because they haven't got their number one receiver in Devontae Adams. And it's not opening up the rest of the field for the other receivers. That, and they can't block. But there's also a problem for the Denver Broncos. As far as where they go from here, they need to stop settling, if I'm being honest with you. They settled for Vic Fangio. They settled for Nathaniel Hackett. When will these teams realize, just go big? Go big. Don't go for the guy who impresses you necessarily in an interview. Unless, go for the guy who you know is going to be good for the job. I always come back to Eric Bieniemy. I will always come back to him. That's a guy who you can, take away from a division rival. So you have that advantage. And I'm not saying that Pat Mahomes is going to fall off the face of the earth when that happens. No. But you can take him away from a divisional rival. And on top of that, he can implement a similar offense and help Russell Wilson, help Jerry Jeudy, help Courtland Sutton. I'm just saying, if I'm the Broncos and you want to go big on offense, that's the guy you go get. Regardless, Nathaniel Hackett is the guy that, somebody's going to end up hiring him as an offensive assistant or offensive coordinator or something. But we'll see where he goes from here. But the Broncos firing their first-year head coach, not even after a full season, after a 4-11 start. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a video is released.